me to end up in a situation with this much financial stress and this much financial anxiety. My wife, actually, who is the head of our Black Financial Therapy department, because we need financial therapy. We need to really do healing as it pertains to the economic trauma that many of us have experienced. She's going to come in tomorrow, actually. Dr. Alicia, she's going to come in, I believe tomorrow. She's so busy, so hopefully I can get on a schedule. And right now, one thing that we're doing is we created a think tank actually in the Black Business School. And so we're doing original research that she's going to submit to an academic publication that involves basically studying Black economics, financial mindset, money mindset in the Black community, and just some solutions in terms of things that will actually work and make Black people great again when it comes to our economics. Because we used to be great, right? We used to have people that were that didn't have the same level of support that we have now, but they knew how to make a dollar out of 15 cents, right? You had grandmothers who could feed a family of five during the Great Depression. You had grandfathers that could go and start companies, and we had insurance companies and banks and everything else. And what's really interesting to me is how literally in most Black communities that are torn down and dilapidated and just ripped to pieces, you always hear stories, and tell me if you've seen this. You always hear stories about how those neighborhoods used to be bustling. Anybody ever notice that? That like a lot of these places where it's like, oh yeah, this is the neighborhood you go if you want to get shot. They'll say, "Oh yeah, but in the 1940s, everybody came on this street, and there was nightclubs and restaurants and a bank and millionaires lived on the street." Has anybody ever seen that? Like that isn't that interesting? Isn't that deep? That a lot of the areas that are considered to be just the economic hellholes of America used to be sources of Black pride, right? And I'm gonna tell you. That made me very curious. That made me want to do an investigation, like almost like a Scooby-Doo mystery. Like what happened? Like, who stole the Black wealth? Who stole our sense of community? Who stole what we used to have? Even if if you ever want to really feel bad, go like watch some of these videos where they talk about what South Central was like before the 1980s and maybe late 1970s. When they talk about what South Central was like in the 60s and in the 50s, it wasn't no whole bunch of gangster stuff and killing and, little 12-year-old children being shot on their way to school. You didn't have all that in South Central back then. You actually had a bustling, a vibrant community with lots of people that were doing quite well. Right. And so I personally think that we should sort of reflect on that and say, how did that happen? How do we go from here to here? Like, what did y'all do with our economics? Like, what did y'all do with our community? What did these systems do? And how do we get to the point where we stop trusting these very same systems? See, the very same systems that destroyed you are the ones that you lean on for your financial security. Do you understand? Am I just a wild radical Black man for saying that I don't think we should trust these systems? I'm not saying that you can disconnect completely. I'm not saying, segregate and never talk to a white person again. I'm not saying that at all. I had a long conversation with my white neighbor last night, and I always thought of him as like somebody that was just like me, just a dad, doing dad stuff. And then I realized, I said, wait a minute, he's 38 years old. And the thing that used to be true for my life was there was a time where 38 was like a regular age. But then you get like in your fifth year, like I'm 53, and I'm like, oh my God, 38 is like a kid in my mind. I should be giving him advice. I shouldn't be talking to him like we're on the same level. When I was in the 10th grade, he was a newborn baby. When I was in college, he was in elementary school. So I go into like old man mode. And I'm like, well, what you want to do is you want to do this, and you probably should start your own business because you already know how to sell. Because he's a car dealer. He's a really nice guy. He's super cool. And just because since we're talking about white people, I'm gonna tell you about my white neighbor because I like him. And I've got another one across the street, a little bit I'm trying to figure him out. But he's a cop though, so I give him grace because my daddy was a cop, and I tell my dad, I say, cops are weird, man. Y'all just be going through. But God bless you though, because you keep us safe, the good ones anyway. But so I give you grace for being a little weird because you see weird stuff, right? So anyway, so my white neighbor. And how do I deal with my white neighbors? I deal with them as human beings. And as long as you ain't messing with me, I ain't messing with you. I ain't gonna give you no problems. You don't give me no problems. And so we were just talking, and one thing I was saying to him, and this actually might help some of you. That's why I'm telling this story. In case you want to know, I teach finance through storytelling. I think stories about life are more interesting than like charts and stuff. And so I was telling him, I said, he learned how to sell cars. He was really good at selling cars. And I said, so you do understand that the best way to make money, the number one way to make money is to learn how to sell something. I said, companies can't go without, so nothing happens till somebody sells something. Do you understand? Like if you ever get a job, like I had a job at Taco Bell when I was 16 and a job at Wendy's when I was like 16. 16 was a bad time for me to be working at Wendy's because I was the only man working and there were all these really pretty girls and they wore these super tight uniforms and so it just kind of does weird stuff to your hormones. But anyway, so I was working at Wendy's and Taco Bell, and here's the thing. I remember years later realizing that my job at Taco Bell wouldn't have existed if somebody in Taco Bell had never learned how to sell a taco, right? Without their marketing team and their advertising team and their ability to sell, it wouldn't matter. There'd be no revenue. There'd be no money to pay me with. And so if you really want to get to the money, this is the point. Some of y'all want to know about money. Like, how do I find money? Where's the money? Well, here's a mistake that somebody made in your life is they taught you that the best way to make money is to fill out job applications. But I say that sometimes you can cut out the middleman. If you want your kids to know how to make money, we've talked about investing. Like that's just a given. Like we know about that. We got that down. But I tell the kids, I'm like, well, if you want to make money, learn how to sell something. If you can sell something, then you can create an economic engine. I said a person who masters the art of selling will never go broke because selling is psychology and knowing the customer and there's all these tactics and tricks and methods. Not unethical methods. You shouldn't do things unethical, but just methods of persuasion. There's a whole literature. There's thousands of research papers written on how to connect to a customer and persuade them to consider whatever it is that you're offering. It's no different from what some of y'all got sons that have mastered the art of getting a girl, right? That ain't number selling. That ain't number selling. Ladies, you get that right man to look in your direction, you kind of selling something, not to make it nasty or trashy, but you know what I'm talking about. We sell ourselves all. You go to the job interview, you're selling yourself. So why is it not the case? Here's the deal. Why is it not the case that all of the children, and this is going to happen when we create the Boyce Watkins School of Black Economics. When I find that billionaire who believes in the mission and wants to write a check to prove that he really believes in it, when that happens, and I'm joking, I'm not begging for nobody's money. We just gonna make this happen somewhat. So maybe somebody else will do this. But when this school is built, one of the things that all the kids will know how to do is they will all know how to sell. They will all know the art of persuasion. They will all know how to make an offer, how to develop a product, because that's what manufacturing and wealth building, wealth creation is all about. Mark Zuckerberg got rich not because he filled out a job application, but because he learned how to sell a product. Elon Musk got rich not because he filled out job applications, but because he learned how to sell a product. Jeff Bezos got rich not because he knew how to network on LinkedIn to find the best job. He got rich because he learned how to sell a product. So people that know how to sell do better than other people. So that was when I went into mentor mode, when I suddenly realized sometimes being I like to think I believe in humility. I like being humble. I like to think that I try to be a humble person. I'm very confident, but I'm humble. I do truly believe in myself. I know what I'm good at. But at the same time, I don't believe in being arrogant or cocky or thinking you're better than other people. And sometimes that's actually a trap. The reason this becomes a trap is because sometimes I'll be sitting there talking to somebody where I'll literally have stuff in my head that I think could really help them, but I won't actually impose it on them because I don't believe in telling people what to do or forcing them or saying, "Hey, listen, son, listen, boy, what you got to do." No, I'd rather learn. I'd rather listen and learn. So with my neighbor, I had always been just like, "Hey, so tell me about yourself. Like, tell me about your family. How are the kids?" And then I was like, "No, boys, you should be reversing the conversation. He told you that he just left his job and he's looking for his next move, and you see him with his children. Again, this is a white guy. So I want to make this clear. Like, I love the black community, but I don't dislike white people. Stop. Don't put that on me. I can't carry that emotional weight of being like, I hate the white man today. I hate him more than hated him yesterday. And I'm just mad at everybody. I don't want to, I'm 53. You get high blood pressure like that. Don't be running around mad at people. Carry love. Love is a better energy anyway. I love my wife. I gave her a big old kiss. And I love y'all. I love this, right? I love building and being black, right? So I want to talk about what I love, not what I hate. So I'm talking to this guy and I was like, yeah, I said, in your next move, I said, I see how much you want to spend time with your sons because his sons all play all the sports and everything. And I just love that, right? I just love the idea of involved dads, and I really wish that we would really, 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 really just drill in that narrative of the importance of fathers being directly involved with the kids. I saw that crazy thing yesterday where the NFL star and Antonio Brown, his baby's mama sends him, or his child's mother, just can't stop saying baby mama, sends him a text and says, "Hey, I could use help with the rent," and he says, "B suck my D," just literally just ignorant, childish stuff that a really profane 3-year-old might say, right? And this immaturity gets celebrated. You have people that say, "Yeah, that's right. You tell her to, and it's just kind of like sad because you don't understand what you're doing. You haven't because you're not even thinking. You're not processing. Maybe he has CTE. Maybe he's on drugs. Maybe he's just stupid. But he's not processing the long-term effects of just creating that much trauma and chaos in the life of his child. And this is again my challenge with some of the culture that's built around the celebrities that many people celebrate. When you're talking about athletes and entertainers, I remember the rapper Future showing up to his one of his kids' birthday party, and he gets into a fight with the child's mother and gets into a like almost this confrontation with the mother in front of the 8-year-old at the birthday party. And I'm like, man, you don't ruin this kid's childhood memories for the next 40 years, and you don't even care because you're an arrogant piece of shit. Excuse my French, I'm not gonna say it anymore, but that's what you are. And nobody trained you to understand the importance and the power of fatherhood. You're supposed to be involved in a productive way in the lives of your children so you can construct memories and an emotional disposition that's going to lead them to happiness, peace, success, prosperity, and everything in between. You're not supposed to use your power to destroy that child and traumatize that family. That's just a misuse of the power of being a man and being a father. They literally it wouldn't. I just don't understand it. I'm not gonna sit here and belabor this point, but this is something that I just believe. So I was talking to this guy. I always come back to the key point, just so you know. Sometimes my brain takes me on tangents. That's my undiagnosed, untreated ADHD, in case you're wondering. So I'm talking to this father, and I'm like, I know how much you love to spend time with your sons. I said, I think you might want to consider trying to see if you can start your own business. I said, because you already have the skill. You have leadership skill. You ran the car dealership. You've been selling for 20 years, and you did a damn good job. All you got to do is figure out how to shift your thinking a little bit. And he was like, well, I don't know. I got to figure out what I want to do and stuff like that. I said, yeah, that's why maybe join groups, listen to podcasts. Maybe I said, just go to YouTube University, watch a bunch of videos on entrepreneurship and how entrepreneurs think. I said, because that was what I had to do when I was at Syracuse. I said, when I was about your age, a little bit older, this is when you start sounding old when you're like, when I was your age, son, when I was your age, here's what we did back in the day. Like I talk like I ain't got no teeth. Like, boy, back when I was 41, we used to do it. So anyway, so what I was telling him, I was like, when I was your age, that was when I was leaving Syracuse University. And I remember when I decided I wanted to get off the plantation and stop being somebody's employee, I had to shift my thinking. I had to humble myself. And even though I was supposed to be so advanced and I'd had all these degrees and I, had this a whole doctorate in finance. I mean, Lord, come on. Like if anybody should understand making money, it should be someone in that space. But you'd be amazed when you are trained to be fed, it is really hard to shift your thinking to know how to feed yourself. Do you understand? Like being fed is kind of a passive disposition. You just passively sit there and they say, open your mouth, you say, ah, and they feed you. They feed you money, right? So and honestly, let's just be real. That's what white folks been doing with black folks for 100. We sit there, we sit there like the puppy, waiting to be fed. And they say, okay, open your mouth. And they go, ah, and then they feed us, right? And the thing that we forget is, well, here's some DEI, right? Here's some crumbs, here's some scraps, here's a seat at the table. Now, we don't let the dog sit at the table, and you can't sit at the head of the table, but we'll give you a little bowl next to the table, and you can sit kind of at the table because everybody, white people love their dogs, right? They love their dogs and they love their black people. So they don't want you to go away. They just need you to know your place. They need you to make sure that you don't step out of line, that you don't disrupt your place in the hierarchy. That's what it is. Right? They like having us around. They just don't want us acting like we running stuff. That's why you had even I'm gonna make fun of all the like uh, I saw all these black folks that were really 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 into Donald Trump. And again, I told you I don't care who you vote for whoever you want. I don't care. I don't think it's gonna make a difference for black wealth. I really don't. But they had all these black folks that were really pushing for Trump, and I really will admit I was kind of cackling a little bit when I saw that when he picked his cabinet, though, he didn't pick none of these. He picked one. I think there was one black guy that got into the cabinet. All these other cabinet spots, I think there's a whole bunch of them. I can't remember how many there are. There's like no other black people. He looked out for his own. He got and I know I'm not saying that it's okay because it's not, it's not diversity and everything, but I'm kind of like I kind of get it a little bit because shit, yeah, y'all let me go up in the White House. Oh, it's gonna be the Black House, 100%. It's going to be the Black House because I'm going to pick from people that I trust and people that are in my circle, and most of those people are black. So, I'm like, okay, well, White House, Black House is what it is, right? And really, this space right here, this is kind of the Black House. I don't tell white people to go away. I don't tell white people I don't like them. There are white people in this room right now, and you are welcome. I respect you. I love you too. But I'm a black man. And that's part of who I am. That's my cultural DNA. That's I've invested in a black woman, in a black family, in black wealth. Like that's my thing. That's who I am. That's where I live. So you tend to connect to the things that are right where you live. So what I'm saying is the reason that building black economics is so critical is because you tend to grab what you need right where you live. Just like Trump reached over to the next white boy sitting next to him, and Bob, he's known since the 1950s, and Joe, he's worked with since they did a deal in 1979, right? And that's kind of honestly how economics works. Again, we want to, of course we can label it, it's racism, it's this, it's that. Yeah, but really at the end of the day, research shows that people, when they're drawing and they're giving out opportunities and they're giving out economic cookies, they tend to give the cookies to the people that live in their neighborhood. They tend to, meaning the people that they're connected to, people in their social circles, right? This does not excuse the president for not having more black people in his cabinet. I was kind of surprised. I was like, gosh, they were really, the black Trump, like the black Trump supporters. I know a few of them, and they're my friends. I have nothing against them at all. I didn't vote for Trump or Biden, but they did, and that's okay. They really were down for him. They were all up in the. One of my friends was in up in the White House with when they had the Black History thing, and all those black Trump supporters were there. And I was like, y'all should probably get more representation for the amount of support that you're giving. So to some extent, you're kind of where the Democrats are. We have that problem with the Democrats too. And I really think that a lot of this comes back to just that conversation about power, right? And the conversation about economics and circling back to why it's so important for Black folks to learn how to make our own money and to build our own systems and to build our own economies. Because that is truly the secret to power. Because what you're doing is you're not necessarily gaining enough power to go conquer the world. You don't have to go conquer the whole world. Um, all you got to do is make sure you control your neighborhood, that you control your space, and you control what's happening around you. I don't know how much power I have outside of my house. But I know that I'm running my house. I know that in my house, you can't come and buy people in my house. You can't come and have more influence in my house than me. I'm posted up, 10 toes down. The infrastructure is built in this house, in this space. And when I say my house is probably a little bit bigger than just a regular house. It's my family and my wife and kids, but also I got a house out there, right? When I'm talking to you, this is our house. This is the Black house, right? So ultimately, what I want you to do is really just think about, okay, what is my house? And what does it mean for me to have control and responsibility when it comes to my house? I'm talking about this like the men too. Like you gotta. I really encourage you to consider the idea that part of your masculinity is measured by your ability to have some influence in your house, in your space. And it's not something that you necessarily have to ask other people to give you. It's something that you command by exerting a certain amount of energy, attention, and authority. If you're paying attention, right? If you're in the life of your child and you're consistently talking to that child, consistently monitoring, watching that child, you're going to have some say in the life of that child. It's just very, very natural. It's inevitable. And that's one of the reasons why, just on that secondary note, when we were talking about the athlete, Antonio Brown and his child's mother, one of the things that I think that I wish he would understand is that because the mother is right there, she's feeding him, she's taking him to school, she's spending literally every waking moment of her life thinking about him. She has power over him. She has power over your legacy and over your seed. And this fact that you would rather save $1,000 or $2,000 than to think about the long-term impact on your legacy and your seed and how she's going to influence him, it's a bad investing move. It's a bad ROI. It's the you're gonna make $2,000 because you didn't want to send her a cash app, but you're gonna lose millions in terms of your legacy not existing when you become an old man. When you get older and he's 25 and he's looking back and at the struggles him and his mom had, and the fact that you told her to suck your blankety blank when she asked for help on the rent, he's gonna remember all these things. He's not gonna honor you. He's not gonna maybe even not even want to carry your name. He may even get on the internet and disparage your name. A lot of you're seeing some of that now. I think that Umar Johnson, some other people have had children go on the internet and say, look, this is what my daddy does. This is how my daddy operates, right? And so really, I think that just generally thinking about that really as an investing decision is critically important. Because remember, when you're investing, you're not just investing money, you're investing your energy and your time into things. So circling back on the sales thing, let me just make sure I finish off that point. I personally think that when you're talking about Black economics, the most important skill that your child can have is the ability to sell something. If they can sell a product, then they can become a producer. Producers in this economy have far more power than consumers. Consumers matter for sure. Without consumers, there is no economy. 70% of the American economy is driven by consumption, driven by spending. Americans spend, spend, spend. That's why our economy is so powerful and is so strong. The problem, though, is that when you look at who benefits from the consumption, it's not the consumer. The consumer gets depleted, and then the consumer has to go back to work in order to make money so they can come back to the dope man and give more money to the producer because it really is the dope man. They manipulate your dopamine to get you to buy products and to consume things, and so you become a dope addict. And as a dope addict, I want you to understand this. Biggie said this in the 10 Crack Commandments. You will never ever see a situation where the drug dealer has less power than the drug addict. Tell me if you know what I'm saying. The drug addict will never be able to override the drug dealer. The drug addict is the slave, the drug dealer is the master. So in this economy, we have the economic drug dealers, which would be big pharma selling opioids. Right? It's Facebook, manipulating your dopamine with through the scroll feed, getting you to sit there and waste your life scrolling all day so they can make money, right? It might be your favorite retailer where they're selling you the overpriced sneakers or maybe the new iPhones or whatever. That's the dope man. They're the dope dealers, and the dope addicts are the people that just spend, 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 spend. and then say, gosh, I don't know why I don't have any money. How did I get broke like this? Well, if you have a resource and you're depleting the resource, but you're not replenishing the resource, then what would surprise you about the fact that the resource is going to be gone? Like what makes you think that I can go chop down every tree in the forest and plant no trees in the forest and then somehow think I'm not gonna eventually run out of forest? So it's really simple, man. So and here's the thing, right? It's not a matter of having to shift from being a consumer to a producer. Nobody does that. And there's no producer who doesn't consume something. Right? All of us buy things. We buy cars, we buy shoes and clothes and vacations. Go out to eat. Me and my wife went out to eat this week. We both drive luxury cars. My wife is bougie. She got a Mercedes. She got the cheapest one on the lot, but she still got her Benz because she wanted the experience of having they put the big, it's real cool. They put the big bow on the car and it was a shiny red and it was nice. I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, And but I mean, we didn't spend too much. We went in there. The amount we spent, probably could have bought like a brand new Honda for that amount. So we did not buy the like they tried to show her the $100,000 Benzes, and that was just a waste of time because she was gonna walk right past it. And I was like, oh, this man don't even know. He's barking up the wrong tree right now. He's trying to kick a dead horse. She ain't buying nothing but that one car that she pointed out that had the price tag that made sense for her. But still though, consuming is okay. What it is really is what people are missing, generally speaking, is balance. What people are missing is we are very aggressive with consuming, but we're not equally aggressive with producing. We're not equally aggressive with investing. We're not equally aggressive with saving. So what I'm saying is if you bout it to use Master P language, I met him in Atlanta. Nice man. But if you bout it like that, right? If you are really aggressive in your spending, I challenge you. This is the Dr. Boyce challenge for today. I challenge you to be equally aggressive in your investing. If you are aggressive about giving your money away, I challenge you to be equally aggressive about putting that money in your pocket. If you are aggressive about going to the mall, I need you to be equally aggressive about going to the bank and going to the investment club and generational wealth. If you're aggressive about making sure that you're paying your rent and your cell phone and your car note, then I would like for you to be equally aggressive when it comes to pouring money into your generational wealth. Right? If you do that, here's the thing. If you do it that way, everything works out great. It's fine at that point. And what you actually find, believe it or not, is that if you are an aggressive investor and producer, over time, you'll actually be a bigger consumer than you were before. You literally could be. You literally could be because when you're making $50,000 a month or something, you're gonna probably spend maybe 20,000 a month. That's a lot of spending. That's a lot of consuming. So don't think, here's the deal. This is the point I'm trying to make. A lot of people think it has to be either or. A lot of people think that either you are wasting money or you have to be a miser. Either you're doing it all right or you're doing it all wrong. Or if you're overspending, you got to cut everything out. And if I see you on the street holding a cup of Starbucks, I'm gonna slap it out your hand and kick you in the face and say, "What the hell are you doing? You jackass! You're throwing money away. Why you can't enjoy money? Why are you driving that car?" I'm not gonna do that to you because I want you to enjoy your life. I kid you not. When I talked to our middle child about college, and I was like, I want to give you a little speech real quick. Can I give you an old man speech for a second? She said yes, and because teenagers, you know how they don't want to listen. And I said, I just want you to know what I want for you in a profession. And I said, just make sure it's clear. I don't know if I've said this to you, but all I want for you is I want you to be happy. That's it. And I gave her the happiness speech. You've heard me give this maybe. I gave this to the 14-year-old already because she tends to kind of want to talk a little more. She's more talkative. The middle one is a little more stoic, so we had to work, but she works for me, so that gives us more chances to communicate. And she's a genius. I said, "Look, you're a genius. I'm very proud of you. And I just want you to be happy. That's it." And so, what I want you to understand is that I may talk about money and finances, but I need you to understand what money really is. Money is not a destination. I say a lot of people get tricked. They think money is what's going to make them happy. They think a new car is going to make them happy. They think a better job is going to make them happy. They think more clout is going to make them happy or being famous or something, right? They think all those things are going to make them. I said, those things don't really make you happy. I said, happiness requires deep diving into who you are. That's where the healing and the therapy and all that stuff comes in. The meditation is really important because you got to really get in a vacuum and figure out what's going to make you happy. And when you find what makes you happy, then at that point the light bulb goes off. You're like, oh. And then we kicked into the inalienable rights. And I said, what are the inalienable rights? Have you studied that in school? She said, yeah. I said, what are they? She said, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So I said, okay, so you know what it means to have life. I said, now make sure you understand this. I said, a lot of people are alive, but they're not actually living. I said, some people are alive, they're breathing, but they're not actually living. They're not, they haven't experienced life. They've experienced kind of this they're in this rut maybe where they're just kind of existing, just going from step to step. There's a whole book called Black Pain by Terry Williams, where she talks about black women in particular, how many of them are just functionally depressed, but they're functional. They have to perform. Black women have to do it. You got to feed the babies. You got to get to work. You got to handle stuff that somebody else did not handle. This is why I think black women should be given grace, but also black women have a responsibility to heal from the trauma that caused you to shape the way you are, because some of it ain't pretty sometimes. It's hard. My wife and I talk about this. She grew up in Gary, the murder capital of the world. I mean, come on now, right? So with that said, though, a lot of people are alive, but they're not actually living. So we talked about that. Then I said, in liberty, I said freedom. I said black people. You'll hear black people talk all day about freedom, and a lot of the black folks ain't even free. I said a lot of people ain't even free enough to do what they want to do that day. They got to go to work. I said people talk about freedom, but they ain't really about that life. They don't understand what freedom is. They don't understand the investment required. They don't understand the sacrifice required to truly have freedom. Freedom requires sacrifice. There is no group, no individual, no community in the history of this world that has ever had freedom that didn't have to fight like hell for it. There's no group in history that's ever had freedom that did not have to defend it. There's no group ever that had freedom that did not have to make an investment and prepare and build around that freedom. So if you're not prepared to build, to invest, to sacrifice, then you are not preparing to be free. Freedom ain't easy. Freedom is hard. Freedom, in fact, freedom is to some extent, you might even say freedom's a fallacy. It's a little bit of a fallacy. It's a little bit of a lie in the way it's presented, in my opinion. Freedom, to have freedom in your life, what I have found, it requires you to be a slave to something else. Like I have freedom. I can do what I want. I can fly around the world and do stuff and say stuff and all that, but I have to be a slave to I have to be committed to the values that will maintain and develop that freedom. My freedom is an asset. Assets have to be preserved, protected, and invested in. If you have a company that makes you free, if you run a business that makes you free, then you damn well better know you got to work your ass off to keep that company strong. So what I'm saying is that even if you are free, you're still gonna have to be committed to whatever that thing is that allows you to be free in the first place. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? Like if you have a relationship that makes you feel free, maybe you married a billionaire or something, well, you better invest in that relationship and you better be committed to it. Because if you get sloppy, if you get lazy and you say, "Well, I want to be free. I just want to do whatever I want." Then guess what? The very thing that allows you to be free is going to disappear, and then you go right back into the hell of slavery that everybody else is living in. So really, the idea that you can have freedom without discipline is absolute bullshit. Excuse my French. I'm not going to cuss anymore, but I had to say it. It's BS. And I said the reason a lot of people are not free, in my opinion, is number one, I don't even know if they know what freedom is, and number two, I don't even know if they understand the sacrifice and the discipline required for freedom. Every veteran in here, I know the veterans understand it because y'all got on the front lines and put your lives on the line to defend freedoms in this country. We can't have freedom without our military. So shout out to every veteran in here. I will never disrespect a veteran. You go and put your life on it. And also even good cops, not the corrupt ones, but the good cops. You go put your life on the line to defend something you believe in. Half the people talking crazy wouldn't you pick up a gun to defend their mama? Shoot, so shout out to everybody who does that, who defends something, right? So the last part we got to was I said, so then there's like the pursuit of happiness, and I said, so happiness, I said most people don't even know what makes them happy, in my opinion. They think it's money or a job or living in a certain city or dating a certain person. And then they try all these things and then they're like, I'm still unhappy. I don't know why. Well, because you didn't really ask the person that actually matters. You asked the world where your happiness lies, but you didn't ask you. You didn't ask your soul. And your soul is what tells you what's going to make you happy. Like I think I know some of the things that make me happy because I'm really like I'm smiling because I really feel happy right now. You know the stuff that makes me happy is number one, coming in the morning and talking to you. That makes me happy. Having a morning cup of coffee, that makes me happy. Going to the gym in the morning makes me happy. Sleeping next to the most beautiful woman in the world, makes me very happy. Drinking lots of water makes me happy. Taking an afternoon nap makes me happy. These are the things in my life that make me the happiest. It ain't got shit to do with no. I keep saying I'm not gonna cuss, see, but it's like a habit. When you start it, you just so that's kids don't cuss because when you start, it's addictive. Then you start doing it all the time. Um, my happiness ain't got nothing to do with internet clout or making a bunch of money or like all this other stuff. No, a car, a car. How can a car make you happy, really? No, it doesn't. Right? So long story short, that's what we talked about. And I said, so once you know what makes you happy, then you might find, I said, happiness rarely lands in your lap. And it's very rare that you're perfectly happy doing exactly what you're doing in the exact place that you are. So what happens is you realize, okay, being over there would probably make me happier. So then you got to go pursue it. And the ability to pursue happiness requires a few things. First, it requires you to know where happiness is located. So you have to have that navigational insight. Number two, it requires courage. You have to have the courage to, and the discipline and the sacrifice to leave where you are, leave your comfort zone, and go to the place that's going to make you happy. Right? You without courage, you cannot make that journey. And then the last part is that you actually have to have some type of freedom. I said a lot of people can't go pursue happiness because they got to go to work that day. If happiness on a given day means I want to just take a spa day, or I want to go talk to my mother, or I want to go and spend time with the kids, a lot of people can't do that because capitalism is not built on your happiness. Capitalism is built on your labor. Capitalism doesn't thrive when you are committed to you and your family. Capitalism thrives when you're committed to a system. And that's why these systems, and they do this and they're very sinister about it. That's why these systems work extremely hard to train you to value the system above yourself, to value the system above your family, to value the system above your community. So they tell you, you're not black, you're an American. We're integrating you. You get to be one, you get to be like white people now. And family doesn't matter. You don't need a mother and a father. Single mom, that's cool. Just come to work every day and then you could take care of that family all by yourself because you're a strong black woman. You're a strong black woman. Right? That's what they train you on these things. They prepare you that well being black and successful and everything means okay, first you're going to go to public school and we're going to make sure we fill your head up with a bunch of stuff that really isn't going to make you independent. It's going to make you part of the system. You're trained to fit into the system. And then when you get to college, you're going to go borrow $200,000. So we need you in debt to the system so that you have to be committed to the system. And then you have to go to work. Now you have to, because how else are you going to pay those student loans, right? No, we're not going to give you a business loan because a business loan would make you independent, right? So we're not going to give you 20,000 to start a business, but we'll give you 200,000 to get a college degree. Because well, why? Because a college degree is not worth 200,000, but we get to inflate the value and then give you a supersized jumbo loan that's going to put you in debt and make you basically into a corporate sharecropper. Sharecroppers were individuals who would go so deep in debt to the master that they could never leave the farm. See, debt itself, if you don't understand it and you're not careful with it, debt can become an economic hell, a perpetual economic hell. Go watch that movie, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the new one, not the old one. The new one, both of them are good. The latest one was amazing. The old one is a classic. And there's the part in that movie where Willy Wonka was this guy. He's a weirdo coming in with all these dreams of making the best chocolate ever. And he gets to London, and the first thing that happens is somebody that runs a business gets him to sign a contract where he is so deep in debt that he has to go work for the factory. And because he's working for the factory, he can't go pursue his dream. He can't go and fulfill his destiny. He can't go and do what God put him on this earth to do, to become a chocolatier. He has to do laundry all day. So his first goal was he had to escape the corporate plantation. And I told our son, I said, man, this is just like America. This is just like this is mob. This pay attention. Pay attention. And so so I wish I could say that to some of these rappers that come out complaining about the slave deals they signed in the music industry. That's because you made a deal with the devil, ma'am. That's why you have made five number 1 albums and you still can't afford a Honda Accord. Okay, so long story short, understanding these things, I think is really important. I think explaining these things to kids is really important, and I think that's what allows us to be successful in life and to be happy. And again, and like I said, it's just at the end of the day, it's not about the all the money and stuff. The money is a tool. The money is a vehicle. It's a wonderful vehicle. Money matters. Money is a key to power. It's a key to a lot of things, right? But once you get that money, kind of having an awareness, being truly woke, like really being woke, what that looks like that has to exist in order for you to really navigate this beast called capitalism in America. Capitalism is something else. So anyway, I didn't know Willy Wonka was written by a British spy. I think that's quite fascinating. So maybe spies, I'm gonna tell you, spies are smart. They're very observant. Have you ever seen how like the KGB, how the KGB when have you ever seen them doing analysis on Americans and our psyche and how they work to manipulate us and stuff? It's really fascinating stuff. So yeah, so now I know why Willy Wonka was written by a spy. But anyway, let's go ahead and finish up for today. I want to say it was great to see you, and also tonight we're doing Powernomics training. So if you want to be invited to Powernomics training, make sure you're on our text list. Text the word morning to the number 87948, and I will send you not just lots of free information and some investing stuff and everything else, but also you'll get invited to our morning class, which someone says, I love the class. Well, bless you too. Thank you for saying that. And yes, tonight, that's what that is. The Powernomics training is the book club, Jen. And so we do that Wednesday nights at 8:30. We're reading Dr. Claude Anderson's books because he's the goatiest of all goats. I never want to give you the impression that I did all this by myself, that I became who I am without people like him. So I will always give credit to the originator. The same way Farrakhan talks about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'm gonna talk about Dr. Claude Anderson in that same way because I think it's really important for us to give credit to the people that paved the way for us. We if we don't create our own superheroes, then who else will? Right? Ain't nobody. Why would we wait for white folks to acknowledge Dr. Anderson? No, we have to do that. That is our job. That is our responsibility. And I don't even blame them for not acknowledging him. Why would they? Why would they? They don't benefit from his existence the way we do. So if somebody feeds you, then it's if somebody gives me food, it's my job to pay them. I can't say, well, I'm not going to pay you, but the man over here that you didn't feed, he should be paying you. No, the person who fed you should be compensated by you. And Dr. Anderson has fed us, and that's why I love this man. And you can't tell me no different. The other thing too is also the ladies for Fly Nubian Queen. They go live every day at 1 o'clock, and so sometimes if you get a text and I say Fly Nubian Queen is live or something like that, you know what that is. These ladies are really smart. Dr. Lene Javette is an expert on black entrepreneurs. You have people like Constance Carter, who ran the largest black-owned real estate firm in California. You have my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins, who is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. You have so many other people in there that are extremely good at what they do. And so they tend to do stuff every day about 1 o'clock. And on that same YouTube channel, Madam President goes live early. Madam President is amazing. If you haven't seen her, you got to check her out. And Constance does stuff. So we got women that are really doing it. It ain't just people like me. There's a whole lot of people that I think we've got enough in our community to build whatever we want and to be whatever we want. So let's just go do it. Let's just go be it. Let's stop complaining about what somebody else took away or what somebody else is doing or what somebody won't let us do. Ain't nobody gonna tell us what we can and cannot do. We make that decision. Does that make sense? Give give me a yes if we're on the same page. Let's end on that vibe. Everybody put a yes in here if you understand where I'm coming from. And also one more quick reminder, our financial slumber party is going to be Friday night at 11 p.m. and we're going to do some stock options. It's called How to Make Money on Monday. And I literally will lay out some plays where you literally, if you have a little bit of a capital base to invest in the market with, I'll show you exactly how to pull money out. I'm pulling money out today after we get done. So it's something, the stock market, whether you know it or not, it's like groundwater. Literally, if you have water underneath your land and you know how to drill for it, you can pull the water up. The stock market's kind of the same way. It can generate income for you. Thousands of you are doing it, and I think those of you who haven't done it yet, you may want to take a look at that. So anyway, that's going to be Friday night. I'll send you guys the link. So make sure you're on the text list. If you're not, text the word morning to the number 87948. And those who are overseas, you can go to drboyceelevate.com and you'll get an invitation there as well. All right, so have a good day, everybody. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye bye.